After Ceres and Haruka are done with their shady activities, they notice that Kazuma is standing right there in front of them. He is posing as if he is some kind of alpha male, but he has just seen his wife getting violated by a kid he raised himself. Anyway, Kazuma asks Haruka if she is done or wishes to go for another round, but she says she's had enough for now. Ceres guesses that Kazuma might have left the room in between their shady activities, probably out of shame, but either way, he says sorry to the cuck for letting his intrusive thoughts get the better of him. However, Kazuma says that the two of them are good for each other, especially after what he just witnessed. Haruka agrees to this, and it confuses Ceres because he had no idea both husband and wife would agree to something of such a nature. Kazuma now explains that he and Haruka have lost their freak between each other and haven't engaged in a very long time. Basically, their relation as man and woman is all but over, so he does not mind if Haruka finds another victim. They still maintain a good relationship in general, so there are no hard feelings between them as such. Haruka adds that ever since she gave birth to her daughter, she and her husband lost the connection that made them attracted to each other in the first place. As a matter of fact, she is planning to find another man for a while, but due to the silly rules of this world, a woman has no chance of finding a new man after she reaches a certain age. It was at this moment when Ceres popped into Kazuma's head, especially because of how he used to bluish around Haruka all the time. A flashback shows Kazuma telling Haruka that Ceres may still have feelings for her, but she brushes it off because he was just a little kid when he said all of that before. Despite this, Kazuma still felt that our hero did not grow out of his love for moms, and that theory has been proven true over here. Now that he has proven his intentions, Kazuma tells Ceres that if he would like it, then he will gladly hand Haruka over to him. In the middle of all this, Haruka just sits and blushes, but Ceres still can't believe that he is being given such an offer. However, Kazuma once again reminds our hero that he used to be a little creep back in the day, sticking to Haruka's leg like a dog who needed to get snipped. Ceres is reminded of this, and he does feel a little embarrassed, but he can't hide from the truth. Now, Kazuma says that he has lived with Haruka for a long time, and she still remains an important part of his youth, as they have fond memories together. Now that he has grown out of it, he wishes to walk a different path, but was not able to do so till now because he could not trust his wife to a random man. Now that Ceres is here, he has nothing to worry about, and can leave behind his days as a married man. He believes that our hero can make his wife a lot happier than he ever could, which is why he is entrusting Haruka to him. Ceres is so glad that he did not get beaten up for what he has just done to someone else's wife, and he happily accepts Haruka as his new mom wife. There's still another surprise waiting for him, as Haruka says that he might actually have 4 wives with him in the future. This is because of some promise that was made amongst the curvy moms a while back. So Haruka is still not sure if it's true, but she says it so casually as if this place is a feminist's nightmare. Ceres can't believe that he might be blessed with even more curvy moms, but there are other things to figure out as of now. The first and most important thing is the shop. If our hero is to take Haruka away now, then it could mean trouble for business. Kazuma reassures him that he has it all under control because he can just buy a young slave girl from the government and hire her as his maid. This will allow him to run a nice cafe. But Haruka has just realized why her husband was so keen to let her go. Of course, she herself is a 10, but since everyone operates on Drake mentality in this world, Kazuma would surely prefer a much younger slave. Ceres offers to lend the funds for the maid to Kazuma, but he firmly refuses this. Ceres once again asks Kazuma to take his money, because he wants to help his older brother for once in his life. Eventually, Kazuma does take the money, and he seems to have gotten a great deal out of this whole situation. Now, our hero leaves with his new wife Mom, and he promises Kazuma that he will take care of her, no matter what. There are sparks flying everywhere between Ceres and Haruka, after which they decide to find out what Shizuko is up to. Haruka wants to meet up and talk with her fellow mom buddy, but Ceres says that he was instructed not to come back home today. Now, we move to Shizuko, who is having a nice drink to herself while also wondering if her lover boy has managed to get with Haruka yet. Now, Ceres takes Haruka on a detour and leads her to a familiar spot. She is hit with nostalgia as she sees the area, and it makes her recall when she used to watch over the kids back when she used to have days off from the shop. All the kids used to be a hassle for her, but Ceres was relatively easier to manage despite his intrusive thoughts. This leads Haruka to tell our hero that he has changed quite a bit, and it surprises him. The wife Mom asks Ceres if this place full of memories was the only thing he wanted to show her, but he says there's more. Our hero then goes on to tell Haruka that he wants to make 1,000,000 more memories with her as husband and wife, but also calls her sis at the same time. This comes across as typical Alabama behavior, but Haruka doesn't have a problem with it. She holds her new husband's hand and calls him silly for trying to act cool like a poser. With that, Ceres and Haruka embrace each other and share a passionate moment. It's getting late now, so Ceres suggests heading back, but Haruka says that she wishes to stay here a little longer. Our hero has no problem with that, so the couple sits down together and they cuddle to make all the single folks depressed. After all this romance, it's time to take a look at the miserable bunch of heroes led by Isekai'd. We see Mel, who is having a hard time with all the accounts, and she claims that she can't take it anymore. It's a huge pain to her, but Isekai'd says that she should not be complaining as she has been exempted from all the other work of the party. Mel has to write periodic reports of the party's adventures to the church in order to get an allowance from them. This involves what kind of materials they intend to buy and what their future plans are as well. It makes Mel wonder how Ceres was able to do all of this without any problems. On top of that, the church gets mad at Mel if her handwriting is bad, or even if the party has no future plans. Clearly is a lot for the spoiled brat to handle, and it shows. Now, Lita shows up and tells Isekai'd that she needs to do some maintenance on her sword. Due to this, she will not be able to handle the laundry, so she asks him to do it. However, Isekai'd gives the convenient excuse that he is a man and would prefer not to wash a woman's delicate clothing. Lita then taunts Isekai'd by saying he has it good. When he asks her what she means by this, Lita states that his holy sword does not need any maintenance at all. The only thing that Isekai'd needs to do is clean it, which is a rather easy task. As far as Lita's sword is concerned, she needs to maintain it regularly, otherwise it quickly loses its edge. As a matter of fact, the other day, she almost lost her life because she could not cut off an ogre's arm. The attention now turns to Maria, who already says she doesn't want to do anything despite no one asking her to. Isekai'd tries to reason with her, but she says that she will not have anyone else's work pushed onto her. This becomes a bit too much for Isekai'd to handle, so he finally admits that their current situation is all his fault. He realizes that the most important person in the party was not himself or the sage, but rather Ceres. Having said this, Isekai'd asks the girls if they believe they can get Ceres back. Mel wishes that they didn't have to rely on our hero so much, but Lita says that no one is better at maintaining swords than Ceres. Maria adds that Ceres was the only one she could trust with shopping because he would never buy anything that was not necessary. This is more than enough for Isekai'd to declare that they need to get Ceres back. Little does he know that Ceres has been maintaining his own sword a bit too well with his mom. Lita asks Isekai'd what Ceres might ask as compensation for his return, but the thought didn't even come across him till now. She reminds him that despite all the efforts our hero put into the party, Isekai'd shamelessly kicked him out because he wanted to have fun with the girls without any interruption. Isekai'd is hit with a massive wave of guilt, and he tries to console himself by saying he didn't do anything so cruel. Maria calls him out for being ignorant and reminds him that he made Mel take off the necklace that Ceres gave her as a gift, just so that he could put his own necklace on her. On top of this, Isekai'd made sure that our hero say this while he was getting kicked out of his own party. It's quite obvious that such an act had hurt our hero's feelings. So Maria asks Isekai'd how he would feel if someone did that to him. The shameless hero finally has a moment of realization and admits that he would have punched Ceres if he had done the same thing to him. Despite this, he also recalls Ceres being nice to the party even after being kicked out for no good reason. Isekai'd's head drops down in shame, and even Mel feels bad about what they have done to Ceres. Lita states that all of them had gotten carried away at the time, and Maria declares that they will need to give our hero something grand in order to make up for their gross negligence. Isekai'd says that the girls should know exactly what needs to be given back to Ceres, which is a woman and a place to be. He considers giving Mel back to Ceres, but that would not even be close to enough to make up for what has unfolded so far. Isekai'd thinks about offering Lita or Maria as well, but then he remembers the shady acts they do to him, so he can't possibly let that go. After all, a man rarely stops being a man unless he has gone mad. Isekai'd does not know what to do anymore, and we instantly shift to his mom Shizuko, who calmly calls him stupid. She wonders how he even grew up to be this way, and then we see that she is actually having a drink with two other curvy moms. They feel bad for Shizuko and what she has been through, but what's important is that she couldn't be happier now. The other moms find it amazing that Shizuko managed to marry Ceres, especially Mel's mom, Seo. She can't believe that Shizuko got with such a young boy and calls it unfair. Now, Maria's mom, Misaki, feels that it is hard to believe such a thing has happened, but then Seo says that it should be considered natural because of the way Ceres used to look at the moms even when he was a little boy. Our hero has always been in love with older women, and it shows, although if we consider his mental age, then he is the one who is older than all of these curvy moms. Seo seems to have had enough beverages as her face shows desire for Ceres. Misaki sees this and says that Seo would normally never get involved with anyone with such a big age difference. Seo counters that Ceres has always acted like a gentleman around her, so she would never let such an opportunity pass by. She remembers that he had told her he loved her back when he was just 5 years old. Despite looking like a child, Ceres would always speak as if he was a grown man, so Seo does not see violating him as a crass act. Misaki once again tries to sway her away by saying Ceres might have just wanted the love of a mother. That is true, but it's not the kind of love that Misaki is referring to. Seo reaffirms that by stating Ceres clearly wanted to love her as a woman. Of course, due to their age difference, she did not respond to him back then. But now, she definitely sees and treats our hero like a grown man. Seo looks at Shizuko now and tells her that she must have felt the same way, which was what led her to get with Ceres in the first place. Shizuko shyly agrees with Seo and admits that even though Ceres was weird as a kid, she always treated him like a son back then. It was only later when she realized that she should have treated him like a stepson. Seo believes that this was when Shizuko started falling for our hero, and then she decides to ask a very blunt question. She wants to know how things are in the bedroom, but Misaki once again tries to deflect her question by saying all of the moms here are basically like grandmoms as per the rules of this world. She believes that a young stud like Ceres would never be interested in the bodies of old women like them. However, she does not know that moms like her would be instant hits back in our hero's world. Shizuko backs up this claim by blushing and saying Ceres is an absolute beast. Both Misaki and Seo watch on in disbelief as Shizuko tells them that Ceres does not let her go until the sun rises up. Our hero is indeed a man of culture, but Seo does not believe this, and she tells Shizuko not to lie so much just because she loves Ceres. Misaki adds that her own husband tells her she is not worth engaging with, but that is only because he is a fool. Seo even states that she has not been able to act on her intrusive thoughts in over 10 years, which is ridiculous for a curvy body like hers. She states that even if she tries to hold her husband's hand, he would say that it's disgusting. These men clearly have no standards, but Seo believes the ways of this world, so she refuses to accept that someone like Ceres would think differently. Also, if what Shizuko is saying is true, then there is no reason for her to be sharing this information with the other moms. She would have tried to monopolize Ceres and have him all to herself, but then she tells the other moms one for all and all for one. This is when we learn that the 4 curvy moms had promised to share their joys and sorrows with each other, no matter what. To prove her point, Shizuko goes on to show the other moms a mark on her neck which can only be obtained if you are getting violated by a bull in the sack. Misaki and Seo can't believe what they are seeing, but it's the truth. Seo wants to know what Shizuko's end goal is, and she assumes that she simply wants to brag about her new boy toy. Shizuko proves that theory wrong as well by revealing she had sent Ceres to Haruka's house for a night visit. Seo can't believe this, because Haruka is supposed to be in a good relationship with her husband. Shizuko says that Kazuma might be a nice man, but he is no longer interested in Haruka as a woman, so it's fine for her husband to get with her. Seo is speechless, and then Shizuko says that Ceres does see all of them as women. This is why she wants both Seo and Misaki to abandon their husbands for Ceres. The curvy moms are shocked to hear this, but Shizuko tells them that this is their chance to go back to being women again. Of course, there are consequences to their actions, but the reward seems a bit too good to be true. They wonder if such a thing can even be possible, but the blush on their faces say it all. They tell Shizuko that if she is lying to them, then they will definitely get back at her for giving them so much false hope. Shizuko says that she is not lying at all, and counters by stating the other moms have to join her back as adventurers if what she is saying turns out to be true. This is when we learn that Seo used to be known as the teary-eyed ice princess who would freeze anything that stood before her. Misaki used to be called the berserk black knight who would chop down demons into minced meat. On this note, Shizuko tells the moms that it's time for them to go wild and relive their youth, but they tell her not to mention the nicknames they came up with when they were young and did not know any better. Now that all the intentions are out in the open, Seo wants to know what Ceres has to do with them returning as adventurers. Shizuko says that if the moms would like to discuss this, then the chat will become a bit more serious, and she is not sure whether she wants to do that. However, Misaki says that she will go and prepare some tea so that the moms can talk this out properly. Shizuko apologizes to her because the moms are having this conversation in her house as well. Misaki doesn't mind at all as long as it's just them over here, so she goes ahead and fetches the tea. Now that everyone is set, Shizuko finally reveals that she is really angry with her son for being a useless jerk. The moms ask if this has to do with Isekai'd kicking Ceres out of his party, to which Shizuko says yes. After all, our hero only ended up following that group because the moms told him it would be a good idea. Despite this, the party pushed all the household chores onto him, and even made him work to earn his own living. Despite such an unfair deal, Ceres still went ahead and did everything without any complaints. However, Isekai'd was still shameless enough to kick him out of the party for no good reason. Neither Seo nor Misaki knew about this, as can be seen in the grim look on their faces. Misaki can't believe that Maria has been giving so much trouble to Ceres, and Seo is also upset with Mel for not supporting Ceres. As a matter of fact, she has already decided to give her daughter a good scolding for her actions. Shizuko says that even she has been thinking about what she should do to punish Isekai'd, and it turns out that one such way is to have all the curvy moms marry Ceres and leave the village. If they happen to do this, then their kids will not have any place to come home to. Seo wants to confirm that Shizuko is asking her and Misaki to leave their husbands and become wives of Ceres. The wife mom states that this is indeed the best way out, and while the promise was an important reason for her to reveal the truth, she also wanted to punish Isekai'd. Misaki says that if she leaves, then her husband will simply buy a slave girl and turn her into his second wife. If that is the case, then Maria will not have a place to stay anymore, and the same applies to Mel as well. The moms still wonder if this is enough to affect their kids. But then Shizuko says that the main topic is yet to be discussed. She wonders if Ceres is actually stronger than the actual hero, since he already works harder than him. If such a thing were to be true, then it would completely ruin the reputation of Isekai'd and his harem. Misaki asks if Shizuko wants to know for sure about this by having her gal pals assist Ceres as adventurers. However, Seo is not sure if they are up to the mark for such a mission, because all of them are quite old as per the standards of this place. Shizuko simply laughs at Seo's statement and calls her timid. Once again, she refers to her as the teary-eyed ice princess, and it embarrasses Seo greatly as she does not want her past to be brought up again. Shizuko then turns to Misaki and calls her the Berserk Black Knight, which makes her really awkward again. The idea is to form a party of love with Ceres, which should not be a problem as he will take them in with open arms and even more open elephant. Eventually, Seo and Misaki agree to the deal, so Shizuko settles it and says that they should get going. The curvy moms are not sure where they are heading, but the wife mom says that she is going to show them proof of her love. They reach home, but Seo does not understand what the big deal is. Shizuko tells her to calm down and not say a word as they enter. The reason behind this is that Ceres is getting locked and loaded with Haruka again. After a rather intense display of shady activities, both our hero and Haruka are shocked to see Shizuko in front of them with Seo and Misaki. The moms are shocked by what they have just seen, but they are also a bit jealous of Haruka. Shizuko now turns to the curvy moms and asks them if they now believe what she had told them about Ceres being a beast. They clearly have no doubts about that anymore, and then everyone helps Haruka get brought up to speed on Shizuko's plans. Haruka figures that the first wife mom set everything up right from the start, and Shizuko calmly laughs in agreement. She also refers to Haruka as the smiling Ripper demon and compliments her sense of intuition. Of course, Ceres has no idea that Haruka had such a nickname, and it makes her feel awkward. He asks his latest mom-wife if this is true, but she is too embarrassed to admit what she was like 15 years ago. She asks Shizuko not to bring up such childish nicknames, but Ceres just wants to understand what is going on over here. Of course, Seo is only fantasizing about doing shady things with Ceres, especially after seeing Haruka in action. Even Misaki is proud of Ceres for growing into a passionate young man, but Haruka is not too comfortable with these judgments. Now, Shizuko explains her deal to our hero and then asks him to take in both Misaki as well as Seo as his new wife moms. Ceres is in a bit of a spot because on one hand, he would gladly take Misaki and Seo as his new wives, but on the other hand, he is not too keen on the plan to take revenge on Isekai'd and the others. He does admit that he was angry when he got kicked out of the party, but at the same time, he also felt a sense of liberation. After all, he was only a part of this party because the moms had asked him to protect their kids. It was basically why he left so easily when he was told he was not needed anymore. Revenge has never really crossed his mind, so he isn't too sure about turning over to the dark side. There's also the fact that he can use all the privileges of the hero's party, so he tells the moms that he will gladly accept Seo and Misaki, but he is not too sure of the revenge aspect. While he does appreciate the sentiment behind what Shizuko is doing for him, he does not wish to punish anyone. The first wife mom says that what Isekai'd did to Ceres was indeed very wrong, so he should definitely think this through. Our hero states that he has thought it through, and he simply does not hold a grudge against anyone for what they have done to him. Shizuko asks him again if he is sure of this, especially after all the treatment he had to go through. Plus, Isekai'd keeping all the girls to himself should have definitely annoyed any normal boy. However, our hero is just made different, and he says that the women he likes are Shizuko, Haruka, Seo, and Misaki. He even calls them broad-minded, kind, and loving women, after which he states that their daughters did not fit that bill for him. All they did was make him work hard, and then they kicked him out, so he doesn't care much about it. There's another very important thing he brings up, which is the fact that polygamy is only allowed if you are a part of the hero's party. It is due to this special privilege that he is even able to take in more wives after Shizuko. So, he doesn't really have any reason to be mad at Isekai'd or the other girls. He admits that he has had to go through some hard times, but at the end of it all, it was this path that led him to such a happy life now. Keeping that in mind, he feels it would be best to leave things as they are. Shizuko smiles at first, but then she and all the other moms go rage mode and tell our hero that his methods of kindness will not work here. Shizuko believes that children need to be scolded, so Ceres should not let his leniency get in the way. Haruka can't forgive Lita either, and the same applies to Seo and Misaki, who are supremely disappointed in their daughters. Our hero is left with no other choice but to listen to his wife moms, so he eventually agrees to punish the brat hero party. However, he asks to at least be given the right to choose what kind of punishment they should receive. As of now, the priority is to settle the matter with Seo and Misaki, who are set to become his new wife moms. Now, we move to a few days later where we see an extremely buffed man cutting down some trees. His name is Kaido, and he is Seo's husband. He calls out to his wife because he wants some tea, and she agrees to do so, but she does not like the way he treats her as if she is his slave. None of that matters to her though, as she knows that Ceres will be coming to take her away today. With that, she looks forward to never having to see her husband's face again, as she has no intention of working as a slave for him anymore. At this very moment, Kaido orders Seo to give him his tea right this minute, and she obliges for the time being. We are taken to a brief flashback now, where we see Misaki and Seo bidding farewell to Ceres after deciding their plan on how to leave their husbands. After they leave, Shizuko looks at Ceres and tells him that he is yet to propose to Haruka properly. He agrees, so Shizuko smiles and holds onto his arm, stating that they are now one as a family. Haruka feels a sense of warmth upon hearing this, and she agrees with Shizuko, but this gives the first wife mom the chance to suggest taking a bath together. Haruka and Ceres are shy about it at first, but they have done much shadier things than taking a bath together, so they decide to hop into their towels. Ceres says that it won't be necessary for all of them to go in together, but Shizuko maintains that it's important for family to get along. Our hero does not have any answer to that, so he allows his wife moms to wash his back. Ceres wonders how things have turned out this way, and although he may sound a bit sad, Shizuko can sense the excitement in his voice. Anyway, she tells Haruka that it's time to clean the front, and this makes Ceres a bit nervous. Haruka tells him to stop hiding his elephant as they need to make sure they have washed him properly. One thing leads to another, and as we would all expect, our hero gets to live out the ultimate desires of most young men. After they are done executing their intrusive thoughts, the triple couple takes a bath, but the tub is too small. Since it's too cramped, Ceres suggests building a bathtub that can fit everyone from his new family. Haruka suggests a bigger bed as well because family needs to stick together at all times. This makes Ceres happy, and he agrees with his big sis, who is also a mom and his wife at the same time. Now, we move back to the present where our hero has come to Seo's house so that he can take her away from her husband. Seo opens the door with a bright smile on her face and welcomes Ceres inside. She tells him that the person he needs to meet is waiting for him inside, and this makes him a bit nervous. He goes on to sit down in front of Kaido, who is striking a pose like a boss. He comments on how Ceres has finally made it here, and we can see that a proper feast has been prepared for him. Our hero is still standing, which makes Kaido angry, so he scolds him and orders him to sit down this instant. Ceres wonders if he is actually welcome in this place, but then Kaido says it's time to start with a drink. Our hero thanks him for his hospitality, and then the men have a drink. Kaido comments on how Ceres has grown into a full man from a little brat. He responds by thanking him for the help he provided during when he was a child. Kaido says that he only taught Ceres how to work the fields and the livestock, so all his adventuring skills are due to his own hard work. However, Ceres says that Kaido is wrong about his because whenever an adventurer would come to town, he would always tell them to teach our hero a thing or two. Kaido is not sure if such a thing had happened, but Ceres remembers it well. Our hero thanks Kaido for every single thing he's done for him, but the buff builder says that this is only sentiment speaking. At the end of the day, he is just a stubborn father who is hated even by his own daughter. Of course, if we were to compare Kaido to the bosses Ceres had to deal with in his past life, then he would be cute at best. Of course, our hero has a lot on his mind when it comes to sentiments, as he had lost his family in this world at an early age. He then tells Kaido that he considers everyone in this village as his family member. Kaido is not interested in small talk, so he tells Ceres that they should get down to business, which in this case happens to be his wife. Ceres firmly says yes, and even Seo can be seen peeking from the background. Kaido says that if it is Seo that Ceres wants, then he can have her, which is actually a very straightforward offer. Even Ceres did not expect things to go so smoothly, but then Kaido explains that his wife really does not have any fond memories of him. When they got married, Kaido's dad was still alive, and even though he was going to pass away soon, he kept nagging at Seo to have a girl who could provide a strong and healthy heir. This had become a lot for her to deal with as a new wife, and after Kaido's dad passed away, it was on him to look after her. He did so for a bit, but the damage was already done, and there was no turning back from there. Kaido had only become like his dad, scolding Seo and making her life miserable, so it only makes sense for her to hate him. Ceres also knows that Kaido runs his mouth a lot, but at least he never raised his hand on Seo, for whatever that is worth. It's just a case of two people not being able to connect with each other. And Kaido is fine with Ceres taking Seo because he knows he's been after her since he was a little boy. Ceres decides to offer some money to Kaido for his wife, but he does not want it as he is fine with the arrangement Mel has. He actually wanted our hero to marry Mel, but that will not be possible now, which is why he is offering his wife instead of his daughter. Now, he looks at Seo, who says sorry to him, but he asks her what she is apologizing for. He did not protect her from his father, and only annoyed her further, so he is the one who should be saying sorry. Now that the deal is done, Ceres asks Kaido what he is going to do now. The buff builder simply says that he will go get himself some young brides now that he has gotten rid of Seo, whom he refers to as a depressing hag. As expected, she is not too pleased to hear this, but Kaido continues to say he will find himself a few young slave girls, thus proving that he has graduated from the Drake Academy of not-so-fine grooming. Seo can't believe Kaido is being so shameless, especially after all the big talk about apologizing to her. He says he does mean what he said about that, but that's all there is to his words. If it were up to him, then he would definitely choose a young bride over an old hag like Seo, which is not exactly the best judgment of looks. Ceres tries to calm down Seo, but she erupts in anger and says that she hates Kaido for making her life miserable. The buff builder couldn't care less, and tells Ceres to take Seo away from his sight as she is souring his mood. Seo hurls abuses at her husband, but our hero simply tells her that they should go be happy with each other now. Later, we see Seo cleaning herself up, and then Ceres asks her if she is good to go. Of course, she is feeling a bit low because she had this whole plan in mind wherein she was going to dump her husband. However, he has made it look as if he is the one who has kicked her out, so he is indeed an alpha male unlike Haruka's husband who liked to watch. It's frustrating for her, but our hero reminds her that she has a happy life ahead now, and that is all that should matter. She agrees and apologizes for making Ceres wait, but then her attention shifts to her broom. Ceres wants to know what it's doing in Seo's room, so she explains that she used to practice magic with it back when she was little. Seeing the broom brings back some memories, and it also gives Seo an idea. She asks Ceres if he would like to go for a ride, and this shocks him because he had no idea his latest wife mom could fly. This should have been common sense, considering that she is actually a wizard with a magic broomstick. With that, Seo takes off with Ceres on the broom, just like an R-rated version of Harry Potter. Our hero is amazed because even Mel is not able to fly. Seo explains that her daughter is a sage, so her spells are very potent, but the problem is that she does not know how to control her power. Ceres tells us that he does have the power of air walking, which allows him to walk in the air, but even that can't get him up to the kind of altitude he is at right now. It makes sense now that Seo used to be an S-rank adventurer, because her experience is truly out of this world. Now, Ceres asks Seo if she has settled down from the earlier situation with Kaido, but it is not easy for her to just forget about it. The thing is that Seo raised a kid with her husband and lived half her life with him, so she had expected to breathe her last with him as well. Since she is old right now as per this world's standards, she felt that she had run out of options, due to which she resigned herself to this fate. Kaido treated her like a slave each and every day of their time together, and since he is older than her, it meant that Seo would have had to take care of him if he fell sick or became too old to walk. Luckily for her, when Shizuko said that she could live a happy life with Ceres, Seo felt that she could get her freedom back again. Of course, she is still a bit upset about the way things eventually turned out for her, but if she and her husband did not really need one another, then it was for the best that they split up. All of this is assuming the fact that Ceres does not go on to dump her, but we can be sure that our hero would never do such a thing. Seo asks him if he means it, but she also takes the broom much higher up, which alarms Ceres a bit. The wizard wife mom says that she might have spoken to Kaido, but her new husband is yet to propose to her. She says that Ceres would always say he loved her back when he was little, but she does not know why he likes her so much. She wants to know what part of her body he likes so much, and this puts our hero in a bit of a spot. She breathes into his ear as she asks this, so we can imagine what it must be doing to our hero's intrusive thoughts. He eventually grabs Seo's thigh, and this catches her off guard, so the broom begins to descend. The both of them are falling at a really fast rate, and Ceres tries to get Seo to act on it, but she is too busy enjoying the touch of a man after such a long time. Eventually, the new couple crashes into a forest, but luckily for them, the trees cushion their fall. Ceres asks Seo if she is all right, and then we see that he is actually on top of her. As expected, sparks are flying everywhere and Ceres activates the mom-loving beast within him. Seo looks at her new lover boy and tells him that this will be the only time they will get to be with each other alone, and without any of his other wives, so it would be best for them to do the nasty over here. Our hero did not expect to hear this at all, but from the look on Seo's face, she is definitely ready to let it all out after their crash landing. Ceres clearly can't hold back any longer, so he is ready to rip out the elephant, but Seo asks him to wait for a moment because she does not want any of the forest's monsters to come and bother them. She unleashes a magical barrier, although she admits that Shizuko is better at this kind of thing. The barrier holds, and Seo is confident that the small fry will not be able to break through it. With that, it's time to let their intrusive thoughts run loose, and Ceres gets straight down to business on Seo's soft pillows. What follows is a rather intense sequence of unspeakable acts, and it ends with a mutual finish. After they get done and dressed up again, Seo asks her new lover boy to keep this particular session a secret between the two of them. He has no issues with that and says that it's time to head home. But then Seo takes a look at her broom and notices that it has broken off, most definitely from the crash landing. Seo says that they will have to walk while also keeping an eye out for monsters as the magic barrier will run out soon. The moment she says this, we can see that a couple of monsters have already arrived at the scene. Ceres gets ready to defend his new mom-wife, but before he can pull out his sword, Seo decides to unleash her own spell, called Ice Bind. She follows it up with an impressive icicle wave, which is more than enough to take down the wolf monsters over here. Our hero is amazed by what he has just witnessed, but Seo simply smiles and tells him they need to get going. Ceres notices that Seo is using short chant magic to deal with monsters quickly, and then using deadly magic to end them for good. She remains cool even during the heat of the battle, and is extremely used to fighting, which is a good thing. The scary part, though, is that all four of our hero's wife moms are probably on the same level. As he says this, we see a giant demon monster show up, but even he is no match for Seo, who uses a spell known as Absolute Zero. Ceres is surprised by such a powerful spell, as is the monster who is frozen at this point. Seo then reveals that this spell is an original creation of hers which was named by Shizuko. Basically, she lowers the blood temperature of her target to -200 degrees, which is more than enough to freeze them for good. Ceres doesn't say this to her face, but he admits that Seo is way too overpowered to be living as a slave wife. On top of that, she is able to pull all of this off without even needing a staff to amplify her power. What Ceres can't understand is that if his wife moms have so much power, then it makes no sense for them to have given up their lives as adventurers. Shizuko had said that this decision was driven mainly by the fear not to marry late, but Ceres wonders if that really is the reason behind it. Even if this was the case, the wife moms should have been able to command their husbands as they pleased, but they still decided to live as if they were slaves. There could always be another reason for choosing the quiet life in the village, so Ceres hopes that his wives tell him the truth one day. After a while, Ceres feels like they have already passed this area, so he asks Seo what's up. She simply acts cute and says that they might be lost if this is the case. It's fair to say that this could all just be a ploy from Seo to go for round 2. It doesn't take a genius to figure this out. So our hero calls out Seo in an instant, telling her that she is simply fooling around. Seo says that she only wanted to fool around with her lover boy some more. Plus, he has not technically proposed to her yet. Ceres admits his mistake and states that it would be low of him to expect such a lovely woman to say that to him. Seo is taken away simply for being called lovely, and then we see Ceres holding on to her from behind. He then says that he loves her and wants her to be with him forever. She says yes in an instant, and then jokes about stealing her daughter's boyfriend. However, our hero tells her that he and Mel were not that close to begin with, so she has nothing to feel guilty about. Later, they reach home, and Seo happily greets everyone with a wide smile on her face. She tells Haruka and Shizuko that she will be in their care from today onwards, but she is a bit too chirpy for their liking. Haruka calls out Seo for acting suspicious, and even Shizuko says that she will find out from Ceres later about what they did to take so much time in coming here. Of course, there is still a lot of work left to be done, and it starts with having to get Misaki from her husband Shudo too. Ceres enters their store, which also doubles up as a foodstuff spot. He says sorry to Misaki for making her wait so long, but she does not have an issue with that. Now, he meets with Shudo and tells him it's been a while since they last saw each other. Shudo greets him with a smile and says that Ceres is being a bit too stiff around him. He asks if our hero would like to have a drink, and then he shows a bottle of brandy, which he has been saving for this very moment. Ceres identifies the booze instantly, which impresses Shudo. He says that our hero is very knowledgeable and is the only one in the village who gets him, apart from Kazuma, who is a cuck, in case you forgot about that. Now, Ceres tells us that Shudo is a very knowledgeable man, especially when it comes to luxury items. He's smart to boot, but the main issue is that he is an overly rational oddball. It is due to this behavior that the villagers are not too fond of him. Despite that, our hero can't forget that it was Shudo who taught him how to read, write, and also do math. Of course, this should have been easy for a man who was reincarnated into another world, but Ceres reveals that he needed to brush up on his skills, as he had forgotten a lot during his reincarnation process. Keeping in mind all of this, Ceres thanks Shudo for all that he's done for him. However, Shudo says that the shocker came to him when he saw how good Ceres was at reading and writing when he was just 5 years old. Shudo also points out that Ceres could watch over his store while he would read, so it was like a reciprocal relationship. Our hero feels that Shudo was born in the wrong place, as he is more suited to be some kind of scholar in the royal family. Either way, Shudo proposes a toast because the brandy is way too tasty to ignore. Ceres also takes a sip, and then Shudo says that it's always a pleasure for him to speak with people like him and Kazuma. However, it is not the same when it comes to anyone else. Ceres wants to understand this further, so Shudo states that he is not meant to be a father or a husband. Of course, he had to keep up appearances when Maria was a baby, but he states that she was a massive pain in his backside. He then says that there's no point in beating around the bush, so he asks Ceres if he has come here for Misaki. He says yes, so Shudo tells him that he can take her right now if he wants. Our hero asks him if he is sure about this, but then he reminds him that he just said he is not fit to be a husband. He simply does not love Misaki anymore, although that was not always the case. When Misaki had given birth to Maria, Shudo's love for her had peaked, but ever since then, his flame for her had quickly burnt out. Even now, they barely talk to each other at home, which is never a good sign for couples. So, if Ceres wants to take her away, then he has no problem with it at all. Plus, Shudo also knows that our hero has liked Misaki for a while, which means that pretty much all the husbands knew our hero's shady intentions even when he was a little boy. Ceres has to act innocent, so he shows surprise when he hears this. But Shudo says it was quite obvious to sense the mom lover inside him. He then calls back to an early memory of Misaki giving Ceres a bath, which proves his point. Now, Shudo says that our hero did lose his mother at a very young age, so it would not be strange for him to want women with motherly features. He even states that there are multiple such cases out there, and refers to them as oddballs who enjoy the company of moms and grandmas. Having said that, Shudo has complete faith in Ceres when it comes to taking care of his wife. He then asks Misaki if she is fine with it, but the look on her face suggests that she is angry at her husband for comparing her to a grandma. Ceres does acknowledge that Shudo is a smart guy, and he is sure that he would have already sorted out his future. He goes on to ask what he will do moving forward, and Shudo seems to be very happy that he was asked this question. His answer, though, isn't exactly what you would expect from a genius, as he says that he will buy himself a young slave girl. With all the husbands stating the same thing so far, it's fair to say that the men of this world are not like us. Shudo reasons that Misaki is no fun at all, while Maria only has flowers in her head. So, him buying a young slave girl with an interest to learn would be a great experience for him, among many other probable things that he would like to do to her. As Shudo continues to talk about the value of high-class slave girls, Misaki finally loses her cool and smashes the table with her fist. Both Ceres and Shudo are stunned by this behavior, and Misaki goes on to apologize for not being fun to be around. She then tells Shudo that they should go out and look at the stars for a bit, but Shudo says that since she is not his wife anymore, she does not have the right to hit him either. He then turns to our hero and pleads with him to take Misaki away before she gets more violent. He gives Ceres a smile, and then our hero takes his latest wife away from the scene. He tells her it would be better for them to be at their new home now, and she agrees. As they leave, Ceres turns to Shudo to thank him again, but it looks like he is already celebrating the fact that he can read as many books as he wants now. His joyous behavior leads our hero to wonder if Shudo had actually done this for his sake, or whether it was another one of those reciprocal relationships. Anyway, now Ceres has finally completed his mission of getting 4 wife moms, and he tells Misaki that they will need to register as a family with the other moms, so that they can live a comfy life together. She agrees, but then her face completely changes when she sees a church in front of her. Ceres asks her if she needs something from the church, so she says that her husband did not like weddings or anything like that, so she never really had the chance to wear a dress. It was also due to her own embarrassment, so they just filled the paperwork and got the marriage registered.
The mere imagination of seeing Misaki in a dress is more than enough to get our hero's intrusive thoughts running wild. He says that he has to see the curvy mom in a dress now, and it makes her all the more excited. She then realizes that she has actually lost a lot of muscle due to her wife duties. Misaki doubts if she can even swing a sword as hard as she used to before, because the only sword she's been craving since marriage has been of a different kind. Misaki then asks Ceres if she and the other moms are going out with him on an adventure. He says yes, but reminds Misaki that he will be the one doing most of the fighting, so she does not need to worry about it. However, Misaki says that she used to be a knight girl, so she must always stand on the front lines. If she is not able to do such a thing, then she will only become a hindrance for Ceres. She then tells our hero that she will put herself through some training in order to become a better fighter. This is not what Ceres wants, but it is what he'll have to accept as the curvy mom goes to an open space to catch up with the other mommies. Misaki apologizes for making everyone come here so suddenly, and Haruka comments that this is indeed quite a random call. However, Shizuko says that it's only natural for Misaki to take decisions so impulsively. The curvy mom says that she is doing this only because she has not been able to get any exercise done in the last few years. She wants to test out her current strength on a rock golem, which is rather surprising to Haruka. Shizuko has no problem with this, so she decides to give Misaki a defensive buff in order to ensure her safety. Seo stands by and says that she will be cheering for her mommy friend while sipping on some tea. Now, the rock golem shows up in front of the curvy mom, and it is quite dangerous indeed. She swings her sword with all her might and manages to make some sort of impact on the beast. However, it's only a bit tougher than a scratch, and Shizuko comments that Misaki would have been able to take down the monster with only a single blow if she was in her prime. The rock golem is in no mood to play, so it launches an attack on Misaki, but she is able to block it with her massive sword. However, this feels extremely heavy on her, which means she is quite rusty and needs assistance. Haruka can't just stand there and watch her friend struggle like this, so she prepares for battle and asks Shizuko to perform a defense buff on her as well. The mom wife does as she says, and then Haruka springs into action to help the Berserker Black Knight. She tells Misaki that it's time to show the monster how two vanguards work together, and confesses that she just needed an excuse to move her body as well. She lands a swift strike on the rock golem, and this motivates Misaki to do better in order to impress her new husband. Shizuko comments that Misaki is the one who likes to lead the fighting straight on, while Haruka likes to disrupt the opponent's actions with her skills. While Haruka keeps the rock golem distracted, Misaki goes on a trip down memory lane. She tells us that her marriage was never smooth sailing right from the beginning. It did not matter what she did, Shudo would just not pay attention to her, although working out to become a muscle mommy may not be every man's cup of tea. Seeing her husband's indifference made Misaki question why she rushed into getting married in the first place. She had actually loved her time tending to the store with Ceres for company. After all, our hero would entertain her all the time by saying how much he loved her. He also said that he would come to take her for himself once he was all grown up, which goes on to prove that our hero does follow through. Anyway, Misaki says that she must become a strong woman who is deserving of Ceres' love. This is all it takes for her to get motivated and unleash her entire body's strength into one finisher move. It totally destroys the rock golem's leg and impresses the other moms. Shizuko says that this was a very strong attack, and Seo says that the Berserker Black Knight may finally be getting some of her strength back. The curvy mom poses with her giant sword and says that no matter what the attacks may be, she will take them head on. She is also ready to take on Ceres and his feelings for her, which will definitely involve Head in some other way. Now, we move to our hero who has gone shopping for his latest mom wife. The shopkeeper decides to show him the best dress the store has to offer, and it turns out that Ceres had actually ordered for it to be made in a short period of time. He thanks the shopkeeper for doing such a great job and tips him extra for his efforts. Of course, no one is going to say no to such a generous tip, so the shopkeeper thanks Ceres for his patronage. It's quite late now, which means that Ceres will not be able to ride a horse back home. However, he does have enough stamina to return via his own strength. With that, he uses his airwalk move and glides through the sky while thinking about Misaki. He says that the curvy mom is very kind and motherly, which reminds him a lot about Shizuko. However, there's something about Shizuko's aura that makes her look like a reincarnated person from long ago. Then we learn that the wife mom actually had a Japanese ancestor, which explains her Japanese name as well. Misaki does not have any kind of Japanese ancestry, and still, she has a classy appearance that gives off the vibes of purity and beauty. As a matter of fact, Ceres feels that she is a Yamato maid Shiko, who has such an open mind that she will accept anything with merit. Our hero believes that Misaki is not a healer, so she won't really get rid of any injuries, but she does look like the kind of mommy who would give you a nice hug in those soft pillows after a hard day's work. Now that he can take in such a cute and curvy babe as his wife, Ceres is ready to do whatever it takes in order for her to be true to herself. On that note, our hero tells Misaki to wait for him because he is going to be the husband she never had. Now, we move back to Misaki, who is busy training with her sword. She comments that her weapon is in shambles, but that is expected because she has spent so many years without maintaining it. Suddenly, she hears Ceres from behind and asks him where he had been all this time. He says that he had to take care of something, but more importantly, he has a request for Misaki. He wants her to come alone by herself to the church later at night, probably because this father wants to see her sin. Misaki is a bit confused, but Ceres tells her that she can take her time. Misaki wonders what all of this was about, and to top it off, her lover boy looked very tired too. The curvy mom does not want to waste any more time, so she leaves her work and goes straight to the church. The door is unlocked, which comes as a surprise to her, and then she enters the church. Nobody should be here at this time, so Misaki calls out to Ceres, hoping to find some answers. As she continues to call out to her new husband, the curvy mom stops in her tracks and is amazed by what is in front of her. It is none other than the beautiful dress our hero had bought earlier, and Misaki can't help but to keep gazing at it. The curvy mom is totally won over by this gesture, and she can't believe that she is back to wearing a dress at her age, although such attire is the standard for women her age back on Earth. After she is done getting ready, Misaki stands by herself as Ceres slowly enters from the back door. He calls out to his new wife mom, and she turns around to ask him how she looks in her new dress. The curvy mom is nothing short of stunning, as her soft pillows and curvy curves would even make comic guzzlers lose its sense of thought. Ceres is of course extremely pleased by what he is seeing, and his intrusive thoughts could probably put Diddy to shame right now. Our hero tells Misaki that she looks splendid and she thanks him while blushing uncontrollably. Ceres says that he also wanted to get her a necklace as proof of their engagement, but he did not get the time to arrange for it. Misaki says she is extremely happy with what has already been done for her, but she wants to understand why Ceres is doing so much for a mommy. Ceres says that all of this is simply because he has always loved Misaki ever since he was a kid. Helping her out at the store gave him some of his most enjoyable memories, especially whenever he would get to see Misaki's lovely smile. Our hero has rizzed up his latest wife mom to a whole other level, and it brings tears to her eyes. On that note, Ceres bends the knee and asks Misaki if she would like to marry him. There is no way under any possibility that she is going to say no to him, so Ceres has officially collected the holy quartet of curvy moms. Misaki takes his hand, but something happens to Ceres at this time, and he's feeling a bit woozy here. Eventually, our hero drops to the floor as he realizes that he might have used the air-walk move a bit too much while coming back home. With that, he passes out and only wakes up after some time. As he tries to figure out what happened, Ceres can see that he is resting in Misaki's lap with a great view of her pillows. The curvy mom tells him to stay as he is, because he will need to rest after all his hard work. Misaki now says that she is so pleased by whatever Ceres has done so far, that she has to give him something in return. It's quite obvious that her pillows and kitty will come into the equation now, but Ceres tells her that she has paid him back plenty. Of course, he's only saying this to seem like a nice guy, but we all know that there's a diddler hiding inside every man of culture. Misaki tells our hero that he is making a very naughty face and his elephant is looking quite energetic as well. This reminds her of the time Ceres would keep staring at her curvy body even back when he was a little kid. The shady look on his face cannot be mistaken for anything innocent, and it makes even Ceres lament how intrusive his thoughts can be. Our hero does not know how to react now, but Misaki is aware of his needs, so she asks him if he would like to. Only a fool would say no to this, and Ceres definitely looks like he is awakening his inner beast. Of course, it doesn't take long before Misaki starts to feel the heat, and Ceres is also in the same position. Misaki laughs and jokes that they might get into trouble for shady things while inside it, but that's not enough to stop the holy blessings of intrusive thoughts. What follows is a rather extreme session of events, and Misaki experiences true enlightenment by the end of it. She tells her lover boy that she has never pursued pleasure like this before, so she thanks him for making her happy. Now, they get ready to head back home, and Misaki states that she wants something more than a necklace. She needs a new sword and armor, because her current artillery is totally in shambles. She also tells Ceres that she and the other moms will go on adventures with him so that they can make a much bigger name than Isekai'd and his girls. Since this is the case, they are going to be up against some really tough opponents. However, when that time arrives, Misaki would like to be the one who stands on the front lines. After all, protecting the people she loves is all she cares about. Ceres can't really say anything to such a fine pair of pillows, so he looks at Misaki with shady eyes and accepts what she says. Now, they come back home and Shizuko declares that her husband has officially consummated his marriages with all four curvy moms. It's time to review the group's future plans, and the first task is to leave the village after formally marrying Ceres. This way, Isekai'd and the other girls will not have a place to come back to. However, Shizuko notes that simply leaving the village may not be enough for her loser son to get an understanding of his responsibilities. Keeping that in mind, the second task is to have Ceres accomplish more as an adventurer than the hero party. Haruka is ready for this mission, as are the other moms, but our hero has something on his mind. Shizuko notices this and asks her lover boy to tell his mom wives what he feels. He says that it's just been a while since he met Kazuma and the other past husbands of his current wife moms. Ceres is thinking about how nice they were to him, but this only makes the curvy moms flip over to the dark side. They tell him that their previous husbands may have been nice to him, but that was not the case with them. With his mom harem now complete, what is our hero going to do about the whole revenge plan? Also, is he going to ask all his mommy wives to have a group session with him? Like, share, and subscribe if your mommy love is still going strong. I've been responding to your love and posting more parts, but you need to show more love for me to upload the next section. Okay then, I'll see you in the next one.